Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're taking a fascinating journey into the hidden power of mindset. How it shapes, sustains, and even transforms your habits from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
You've sent us some really incredible sources, and our goal today is to truly uncover the surprising psychological levers, the ones that drive what we do every single day.
Yeah, it's such a crucial topic because really, at its heart, this deep dive is about understanding not just what we do, but why we do it
Right.
and how we can maybe subtly shift our perception to create some lasting change. We'll try and connect some powerful insights for you today, hopefully offering a bit of a shortcut to understanding that really profound link between your thoughts and your actions.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The material we looked at kicks off with a really interesting anecdote. It's from Istanbul.
That's right, yeah. About a group of friends.
Right, and many of them smoked, but this one person, Mike, he managed to quit. And it was because of a book, Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking. What was so impactful about this book?
Well, what's truly fascinating here is how that book just fundamentally challenges the smoker's mindset.
How so?
Mike described it as, like, freeing him from the mental burden of smoking. It makes you realize you don't actually want to smoke, that it brings zero real benefit.
Mm-hmm.
The book just systematically reframes every single cue associated with smoking. It basically tells you, you think you're quitting something valuable, but you're not quitting anything because cigarettes do absolutely nothing for you.
Okay.
Or it says things like, you think smoking relieves stress. Nope. It doesn't relieve your nerves. It actually destroys them. It just completely flips your perception of the act itself.
So it's really about making a bad habit seem totally unattractive, just stripping away any positive spin you might have put on it.
Exactly. When you genuinely believe there are no benefits, well, there's no reason left to do it, right?
Makes sense. But this idea of reframing, it feels like it goes much deeper than just, say, quitting smoking. How does this apply to other habits, maybe ones we don't think of as quite so obviously bad?
Oh, absolutely. That's a crucial point. If we connect this to the bigger picture, think about a surface-level craving like, I don't know, wanting a taco.
Okay.
It isn't just about the taco itself, right? It's often a manifestation of a much deeper underlying motive. In this case, obtaining food and water for survival.
Ah,
And our sources list several of these fundamental underlying motives driving our behavior. Things like conserving energy,
mm-hmm.
obtaining food and water, finding love and reproducing, connecting and bonding with others,
Yeah.
winning social acceptance, reducing uncertainty, and achieving status or prestige. Pretty fundamental stuff.
And here's where it gets really interesting for me. Our brains didn't exactly evolve craving Instagram feeds or video game achievements, did they?
Not at all.
But these modern habits, they latch onto those ancient desires so effectively. It's kind of amazing when you think about it.
It really is,
Like
yeah.
using a dating app, Tinder or whatever, isn't just swiping. It taps right into finding love and reproducing.
Mhm.
Browsing Facebook hits that connecting and bonding with others need. Posting on Instagram, often that's about winning social acceptance and approval.
Yeah, seeking validation.
And searching on Google is all about reducing uncertainty, right? Getting answers. And even playing video games can be a direct line to achieving status and prestige within that game's world.
This brings up such an important point.
Mm-hmm.
Your current habits, the good ones and the bad ones, they're simply learned ways, you could call them modern solutions,
Yeah.
to address these underlying motives.
That's right, yeah.
They're not necessarily the best solutions, maybe not even good ones sometimes, but they're the ones your brain has sort of defaulted to. The real power, the insight here, comes when you realize there are many, many different ways to address the same underlying motive.
Okay.
So one person might try to reduce stress by smoking, like we said, but another person might ease their anxiety by going for a run or maybe just calling a friend to vent. Your current habits are just the methods you've learned, but they're definitely not fixed in stone.
That's a really powerful idea. Our habits are just these learned responses, not innate needs.
So, okay, given that, how does our brain actually process all these learned associations and then decide what to do next?
Right.
The sources highlight that our actions depend heavily on predictions. It's about how we interpret events, not just the objective reality out there.
Precisely. Your brain is essentially a master prediction machine. It's constantly absorbing information, noticing cues in the environment, and then running these incredibly rapid simulations to forecast what's likely to happen next.
Like a constant what-if generator.
Kind of, yeah. You know how your brain just instinctively predicts outcomes? Like you see a hot stove, you predict ouch, burn, so you pull back.
Right.
Or traffic light turns green, you predict safe to go, so you press the gas. This seemingly automatic process, this constant, often subconscious prediction of the next moment, that's what really drives our behavior.
So it's not just thoughts, it's like these pathways in the brain getting grooved in deeper each time. Exactly. The more you follow a certain prediction, the more established and automatic that neural pathway becomes.
Okay, so this means our perception, our interpretation is basically everything.
Mm-hmm.
The same exact cue, let's say, seeing a cigarette can spark totally different reactions. One person feels that urge to smoke. Another person is repulsed by the smell.
Precisely.
So the ultimate cause of your habits isn't really the cue itself, it's the prediction your brain makes about it.
That's the fundamental takeaway here.
Yeah.
And these predictions, then, they lead to feelings and emotions. That's what we usually call a craving, right? The desire to change your internal state somehow.
Yeah.
The neuroscientist Antonio Damasio, he points out, it is a motion that allows you to mark things as good, bad, or indifferent.
Ah.
So when there's a gap between your current state and your desired state, like feeling cold and wanting to be warm, or feeling bored and wanting to be stimulated, that gap provides a really powerful reason to act. Ultimately, when you engage in a habit, whether it's, binge eating or endlessly scrolling social media, what you really want is just to feel different. You want to bridge that gap.
So, okay, what does this all mean for us practical terms? If our predictions and associations are so powerful, can we actually, reprogram our brains? Can we make those hard habits more attractive, or at least less? Ugh.
The sources strongly suggest yes. And often, it can start with just a slight shift in mindset.
How slight?
Well, one really simple but profound example they give is changing "I have to" "I get to."
Okay.
Just think about the difference. You have to wake up early for work. Feels like a drag, right?
Yeah, burden.
Versus you get to wake up early for work, it carries a totally different emotional weight.
Mm.
Or you have to cook dinner for your family versus you get to cook dinner for your family.
Wow.
By changing just that one single word, you transform the perception. It shifts from a burden to an opportunity. It's about changing your internal story, not the external fact.
That's so simple, but yeah, incredibly profound. Almost sounds too easy. Does it always work?
Well, it's not magic, but it changes the feeling. It reminds me of that story in the sources about the man in the wheelchair.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
When someone asked him if it was difficult being confined, he said something like, "I'm not confined to my wheelchair. I am liberated by it."
Liberated? How?
He said, "If it wasn't for my wheelchair, I would be bedbound and never able to leave my house." That's a complete perspective shift, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it totally transformed how he experienced his daily life.
That really illustrates the point, doesn't it? You can find evidence for whatever mindset you choose to adopt.
Exactly. So reframing your habits to highlight their benefits, rather than focusing on the perceived drawbacks, is a remarkably fast way to start reprogramming your mind and make habit feel more appealing.
Can we look at some examples?
Sure. The sources give a few good ones.
Yeah.
Like for exercise. Instead of thinking, ugh, I need to go run, try reframing it as, it's time to build endurance and get faster, or I get to move my body and feel stronger.
Okay, focuses on the gain.
Right. Or saving money. Instead of seeing it as sacrifice, think of it as freedom. Realize that living below your means now actually increases your future means.
Yeah, that makes sense. The money isn't gone. It's working for future you.
Exactly. Or meditation. Instead of getting frustrated with distractions, which are inevitable,
Tell me about it.
view each interruption, each thought, each sound as a chance to practice returning to your breath. So the distraction actually becomes a good thing because it gives you practice reps for focus.
Huh. Turning the problem into the practice. I like that.
And maybe one more, like having a difficult conversation at work. Instead of, ugh, I have to confront this person, maybe try, I get to practice my communication skills here, or I get to help make our team dynamic healthier. Shifts it from chore to growth.
These little mindset shifts, yeah, they aren't magic spells, but they definitely can change the feelings you associate with doing something. That seems key.
It really is.
And if you want to take it a step further, the sources also suggest creating something called a motivation ritual. What's that about?
Yeah. This raises the question, how do you deliberately build those positive associations? Almost like conditioning yourself.
Like Pavlov's dogs, but for productivity.
Kind of. A motivation ritual is basically a short sequence of actions you perform deliberately right before you tackle a challenging habit. The whole point is to prime your mind and body and forge a new positive association.
Okay.
You're consciously conditioning yourself with purpose. The sources mention Ed Lattimore. He's a boxer and writer. He found his focus just shot up when he put his headphones on, even if there wasn't any music playing.
Really? Just the headphones?
Yeah, because he had conditioned himself over time by repeatedly associating putting on headphones with deep work and enjoyable music. Eventually, the act of putting them on became this automatic cue he associated with focus, and then the craving to actually start working followed more naturally.
That makes so much sense. It's like those pre-game routines athletes have.
Exactly.
They do specific stretches or drills. It warms them up physically, sure, but maybe more importantly, it puts them in the right mental state, right? Gets them in game mode.
Precisely. The sources mention a baseball player with a specific 10-minute ritual stretching, throwing before every game. It made him feel competitive and focused, even if he didn't feel motivated just moments before starting it.
You know, I was just thinking, I could probably use this for my morning routine. Like, if I always played a certain upbeat song right when I start making coffee,
Yeah.
maybe eventually just hearing that song becomes my, okay, time to get productive cue.
That's a perfect everyday example.
Yeah.
You can adapt this strategy for almost any purpose. Let's say you just want to feel happier more often.
Who doesn't?
Right. So find something small that genuinely makes you happy. Maybe petting your dog, or like you said, listening to that specific song. Then create a tiny routine you do every single time right before you do the happy thing.
Okay, like what?
The sources suggest something super simple like 3 deep breaths, smile, then pet the dog, repeat.
3 breaths, smile, pet the dog.
Yeah. The idea is that eventually that little breathe and smile routine, because it's consistently paired with the genuine good feeling of petting the dog, becomes a powerful cue for feeling good.
Ah, so you can use the cue later on its own.
Exactly. Once it's established, you can pull out that little routine anytime you need a quick mood shift. You're essentially teaching your brain this simple action equals this desired feeling.
So there you have it then. The key, it seems, to tackling those difficult habits, maybe even making the hard ones feel attractive, it lies in reframing the associations we have about them. It's basically about reprogramming our predictions.
That's it. Your habits feel attractive when you associate them with positive feelings and, well, unattractive when you associate them with negative ones. It sounds simple, but it's profound.
Yeah.
By understanding those deeper motives we talked about and then intentionally shifting your mindset through these techniques, reframing, creating motivation rituals, you really can unlock the power to transform your habits from the inside out.
So, for your final thought today, consider this. If every action we take is preceded by some kind of prediction, what's one prediction you currently make about a challenging habit in your life? And how could you maybe deliberately try to flip that script, reframe that prediction to unlock a new possibility, something to mull over until our next deep dive?